channel. And if this is your first time here, then hi, my name is Lauren. And on my channel, we mostly talk about anything luxury, but we also discuss lifestyle and beauty. So if you're interested in any of these topics, please consider subscribing to my channel, and we'll get started with the video. So in today's video, I'm presenting you another episode of my real versus fake comparisons, this time featuring a Chanel WOC. So if you are interested in learning how to spot the differences, then please keep on watching. So first, let's take a look at the packaging, and here can you spot which one is the real one and which one is the fake one. So this, in this hand, is the box of the real bag, and over here we have the box of the fake one. So right off the bat, the first thing that we can tell about the fake box, which again is in this hand, is that the sizing is off, I would say by about a third. So the box of the real one, again here, is a bit larger than the box of the fake one. And then another thing, if we look at the writing of Chanel over here on the box of the fake one, we can see that proportionally to the box, it is a lot larger. So the font is a lot larger than in the real box, which is here. So the next thing to look at in terms of the packaging is the dust bag. And here I have to say this is actually the part that most closely resembles the real deal. I don't really see that many differences. I think the sizing is about the same. The sizing of the font as well is about the same, so no major differences. The only thing that I could potentially say is the quality of the fabric. You can feel if you kind of like start touching and like insist and stuff like that on rubbing, then you can see that it's not the same as the real one, which is in this hand. However, I think that for a fake, the quality of the fabric is really there, and that's something that hasn't always been there in the past. I feel like I've unboxed a lot of fakes on my channel, and I've told you like, ooh, the dust bag is terrible, the quality of the packaging is shit. And here I think that there is a difference. This is actually something that I would see myself using, down the line for something when traveling and I don't have a dust bag, or either, what I want to take never came with a dust bag or something like that. This would actually be something that would be useful. And finally, the last part of the packaging that I want to talk about is the certificate of authenticity. And here on the front side of things, there is virtually no differences whatsoever. It is exactly the same. I think that the only differences that we can notice are when we turn the card around and we flip it and look at the back of it. And here it's a tiny difference, but I would say that the serial numbers on the fake one, which is here, are a little bit closer together than on the real one, which is here. And then additionally, I would say that there is the presence of the CC logo on the hologram on the fake one, which doesn't really happen on the real one, which again is here. However, I will say that Chanel no longer really uses these certificates, so obviously this has become slightly obsolete. The only thing is that it is for older handbags, so when it comes to the resale market, if you're trying to get a vintage bag, obviously you will always have to look at the certificate of authenticity, so it's always good to know how to read it, because if your bag comes with one, you have to find out if it's a fake or a real one. So now when we take a look at the actual bags themselves, in terms of dimensions, they are very similar. I think that the quote body of the bag is about the same. The only difference really comes from the length of the strap. And here, before I start explaining, can you tell which one is the real one and which one is the fake one? To be honest, it is a pretty good fake, so it was actually pretty difficult to distinguish at first. But over here in this hand, we have the real one, and in my other hand over here, we have the fake one. So like I mentioned, the only difference in terms of dimensions is the length of the strap. I would say that the strap of the fake one, which again is here, is about like 3 or 4 centimeters shorter than the real one. But it would of course be very difficult to tell if you didn't have the real thing to compare it to and to measure. So now moving on to the leather, both are caviar leather, and the real one, which again is in this hand, is actually my mom's handbag. I used to have this one in lambskin, and then I ended up reselling it. It was my first WOC, my first Chanel bag, and I didn't really think about it very much. It wasn't really something that was for me, given my height, given the fact that I have a strong preference for bigger handbags where I can actually put stuff in. So I ended up selling it, and this is my mom's handbag. So if we look at the fake one here in terms of the leather, it is caviar leather, kind of like the real thing. The only thing to say really is that it feels like it is a little bit more sturdy. It feels like, you know, the leather is a little bit thicker and it is a lot less supple than the real one. It could actually come from the fact that this fake one has never been worn. I just took it out of its box. And my mom has had this bag for like 4 or 5 years at least, and as you can see, it's kind of well worn. So it would be kind of complicated to tell the difference, but even when I compare this to, say, you know, my Chanel flaps or something, the feel of the leather is slightly different. It really feels like it's just been made and it's a little bit more robust, but not really in a good way, if that makes sense. So in terms of the quilting and the stitching, I see virtually no difference. It's exactly the same as the real one. So there's really nothing to say here. Now, if we move on to the hardware, obviously both are gold hardware bags, and it's exactly the same shade on the CC logo. So if we look at the fake one and if we look at the real one, which is here, the shade of the CC logo, the shade of gold hardware is exactly the same. I say that, and sometimes that may seem stupid, but I have seen it where the shade is a little bit off, the shade is a little bit more like champagne gold hardware, something like that. So that's obviously very important. But here it's exactly the same. The only difference, I would say, when it comes to the closure system, the CC logo, is that on the fake one, which is here, it does seem to me like the logo is a little bit thicker than on the real one, which is here. It's not really something that I paid much attention to looking at the fake on its own, but when I compare it to the real one, then I obviously see a difference. It's not super noticeable otherwise on its own, but yeah, when comparing it to the real one, that is definitely something to mention. In terms of the straps, the aesthetics are exactly the same, the way that it's made, the patterns, etc., the knots. It's exactly the same. The only difference, like I mentioned before, is the length of the straps. So in terms of pockets and of course functionality of the bag, because that's basically what we're evaluating, a bag is definitely made to be worn. That's something to remember, not to sit in your closet, which I'm so guilty of sometimes. But anyway, if we take a look at the back pocket over here, again, I see virtually no difference. It's exactly the same. Moving on to the inside of the bag, the interior of the bag, we have the top pocket in each bag. That is exactly the same. And then we have the Chanel CC logo. Again, it is the same. And then we have the inside pocket over here, which I won't be able to show because I'm barely holding on to the bags as it is. But anyway, it's burgundy and then it says made in France. So there is no difference in the interior of the bag. Again, it is a pure copycat. So in conclusion, I would say that this is a very good fake. I would even venture out and say that it is a super fake. It's pretty much unnoticeable to the naked eye. The only way that I am able to tell the difference, and the only way that I'm not too concerned about getting them confused and getting them mixed up, is that my mom's bag is a bit older. So like I mentioned before, it is about 4 or 5 years old. And then as you can see, if I hold it from the top, you will see when you compare it to the fake one, which of course is brand new, that the real one, which again is here, kind of droops down at the bottom. It's so weird. It's kind of like saggy boobs. It feels like, you know, the bag has really lost structures and it's becoming, yeah, like pretty much saggy boobs and droopy. But in all honesty, if we're being really serious here, this is a really good quality bag. I was actually pretty surprised. I did another fake versus real video featuring a Chanel classic flap quite a while back on my channel. This was actually the first ever video that started my fake versus real series. By the way, if you are interested in seeing that particular video, then I will go ahead and leave it in the little information link over here for you to see it. And I was only so satisfied with the quality. I felt like there were quite a few differences to be noticed. There were definitely a lot of things when it came to the sizing of the bag, you know, when it came to bigger things like this that would almost look off to the naked eye without even having a comparison. And so here it's not the case at all. I'm very happy with the quality of it, which is super nice. I think this would actually be a really good bag to kind of trick a Chanel lover with, to see if they would be able to tell the difference. I would consider myself a Chanel lover, but honestly, I feel like I would not be able to tell the difference if I didn't have the real deal by my side next to it to compare it with. Otherwise, I would probably, look at the person, evaluate the other things that they are wearing, evaluate their behavior, and maybe, their mannerisms, and be like, oh, well, yeah, this is definitely a real bag, and no, I would be very wrong. So this would be something really funny to do. By the way, if you are interested in getting this bag or anything else really from this fake factory, then I will go ahead and leave all the relevant information in the description box of the video down below, along with the coupon code for you. So that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you had fun learning how to spot the differences between fake and real with me. I hope that I didn't confuse you anymore or didn't leave you feeling helpless, because it's definitely very hard to tell the difference. Again, I think that if I didn't have the real thing to compare it with, I honestly wouldn't be able to tell the difference. So if you feel like you have been duped or you have been tricked in the past with a fake, then I would say this is something that can happen to anybody. And it would be important to, quote, raise awareness on the topic. And, whenever you're purchasing online, you obviously run the risk of getting a fake. That's always something to keep in mind. This is why, personally, I would never buy a pre-loved handbag, because I am so scared of getting a fake one. These days, they're almost unnoticeable, and even, the certificate of authenticity, the serial number, the dust bag, the blah, 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 is pretty much the same, so you obviously run that risk. But anyway, if you did enjoy this video, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one.